Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Orta Know Better. My name's Luke, and I'm joined tonight by OKB regular Shannon, and all the way from just outside Oslo in Norway, Anders, who is the chair of Leeds United Supporters Club of Scandinavia. How are you doing, Anders? All right?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Thank you for asking. Shannon, you good?
Yeah, doing all right, cracking on,
Great stuff. So, firstly, thanks ever so much, Anders, for agreeing to join Shannon and myself. Tell us a little bit more about LUSCOS and the amazing work you guys are doing across Scandinavia and spreading the word about Leeds United and the fans and the supporters club out there. Just give us a little bit of background about yourself, I suppose, and how you got into it and how long you've been following Leeds and that sort of thing, if you will, please.
Yeah, I'll do that. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and obviously up here in the north, we didn't have a lot of football going on the television. Apart from every Saturday, an English game came on live, like Match of the Day. So I kind of grew up with watching an English game on Saturday afternoon with my dad and my brother. And we started collecting the trading cards and bought all the magazines from United Kingdom, like the Shoot and the Match and all those magazines. And everybody just got into an English team, really. Sometimes you just picked a team because you liked the shirts or, a certain player or something. And others, maybe it was a little bit of a coincidence. I mean, you had an uncle coming home from England. He had brought you 3 scarves or brought, home 3 scarves. And one of them were a Leeds scarf, and you were lucky to get that one. And then you became a Leeds fan. So I really started supporting Leeds in 1974. My dad, he used to study in Leicester in the beginning of the 60s. And my brother and my grandfather and my father all, supported Leicester. So right. I kind of tried to find my own way. And I was a little bit intrigued with Stoke City, in fact, because there's a player there called Alan Hudson. He was a great player. He came to Stoke, and I really liked him. But in the end, I chose Leeds, or maybe Leeds chose me. I don't know, but it felt like it was the right thing. And since then, I've been a Leeds fan. And of course, it's been a lot of ups and downs. Like in the song. It was a little bit hard to follow Leeds in the 80s in the second division. We didn't have any newspapers on Sundays, so you had to, if you didn't find a BBC broadcast to listen to on the medium wave, then you had to wait until Monday morning in the newspaper to see how it went with Leeds that weekend. And of course, with no internet or nothing like that, it was hard to follow. But still you looked after the result and you followed the team. And of course, gradually you got more and more into it, and it's just been with me all my adult life, really.
Yeah, smashing.
Is there anything about? Oh, go on. Sorry, Luke.
No, sorry. Carry on.
I was just going to say, I mean, out of all the teams, was there anything in particular with Leeds that drew you to it more than any of the others? Obviously, any of these larger groups and stuff. Was there anything in particular that led you to Leeds?
Well, of course, I liked the shirts, and then you heard about a certain player that could shoot, like a hole in the net, and his name was Peter Lorimer, and he was my first footballing idol. I had it on my bedroom wall, and I still got a picture of him in my home office. I look at it every day, and of course it was a very, very, very sad day on Saturday, especially for maybe for us Scandinavians, because we were very close to Peter. So so it was a tough moment, really, because it all came back, you know, how you started to supporting Leeds, and he was my first, you know, footballing hero, and so he was maybe the major reason for me starting to follow Leeds United, I think, and also for many others. So, but we have been very, you know, following English football very closely since those games in the beginning of the 70s, and so everybody really got an English football team over here. Strangely enough, of course, we follow our local team as well, but and some maybe have some German teams or Italian or Spanish teams, but it's still the English, you know, football scene that is strong in Norway, in particular. Also in Denmark and Sweden, but less so, because Denmark and Sweden, they have had players also in the other European countries and other European leagues. So, for instance, the Swedes, they had a lot of good players in Italy and other countries, and the Danes, they've also had a lot of good players in other leagues. So I guess their support is a little bit more spread. But in Norway, it's just crazy about English football, everybody. So
great stuff. And in terms of the sort of fan bases based over in Scandinavia, then are Leeds one of the biggest followed sides over there, would you say? Or is it typically simple? Is it like anywhere else in the world where you've got the majority of sort of Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, where the money is, so to speak? Or would you say that Leeds are probably one of the better supported sides out there?
Yeah, right now we're number 3 after you know, the two big red teams that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So we just the last year actually passed Arsenal
Right.
in the numbers of you know, being a member members of the supporters clubs, but it's Leeds has been a you know, have had a large following ever since like I said, the 70s. And it's Norway is a very long stretched country, so you have a lot of people all over the country, really, following Leeds. Not only in the big cities, but also in small places along the coast and up in north of Norway, and it's a little bit like that in Denmark also, of course, but Denmark is a smaller country, more centralized, and so they have groups there as well, spread over the country, and in Sweden as well. But the majority of our members is from Norway, and the supporters club started out in Norway in actually over 4 years ago, in August 1980. So it started out with a couple of guys that ran an ad in a newspaper, said, we want to start a supporters club, anybody interested? And they got a lot of, you know, letters, and they just started out, and it grew eventually. We started out actually right from the beginning. We had our own magazine called the Peacock News.
Yeah,
and we still got the magazine, in fact. So we've had it for 40 years since the start. It started out with just like 4 printed, you know, sheets of paper, and then went into a fully fledged magazine. And today it's a A4 size magazine with you know, very professionalized pictures and layout and everything. So it's really the one of the cornerstones of the membership in our supporters club.
Yeah, I think sorry, go on, Shannon.
Luke, come on. What I was going to say is obviously that I think when we've just come back to the Premier League, and I think we saw an increase in our fan base even here. I think more people came back and supported Leeds and wanted to get back involved in the club. Did you see like an increase once we'd gone back up to the Prem, or didn't that really play a part in building your fans?
Oh, of course it did. We had actually just over 5,000 members going into the last season in the championship, and we have grown until up to 7,500. So it's been a good year for the supporters club in terms of getting members. But of course, it's been helping. It's been helped by the good team and Bielsa's way of playing, and we have had a lot of media coverage as well. A lot of the newspapers they didn't really look into the championship that much. We had some TV channels showing some of the games, but they didn't have a studio discussion before the games and after the games and stuff like that. They just showed the game with a commentator. But now we've had good TV broadcast and commentators raving about how Leeds play and a lot of news articles and everything. So it's really been fun to be a Leeds supporter. For the last couple of years, after struggling a little bit in the championship for many years.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It is absolutely. It's probably the best I've felt as a Leeds fan I can ever remember currently. When we got relegated all those years ago, I was only sort of 17, 18, and other than the obvious European Cup nights. I think this is probably up there, although we're mid-table, but we're safe. I think it's just as good a feeling being safe in the Premiership first season back as what it was. Maybe not as quite as good as those European nights, but I was a lot younger then and probably didn't appreciate it as much until we had those 16 years out of the top flight. Just touching upon the Peacock news that you mentioned there, Kjell, who's the vice chair, I think he sent me a PDF version of and I wish I could read Norwegian. I'm assuming it's in, but I wish I could read it because it looks absolutely fantastic. And I sort of did make out the players that you've done. So you've done the all-time Leeds 11, I think, with the coaches in there, and I sort of can pretty much read it and translate enough in terms of the percentages and votes and things, and the team that came out of that. So anybody who's watching this, what I will do is I'll translate the final 11 and just put that out there for anybody who wants to see how the Leeds United Supporters Club of Scandinavia voted. I think it would probably be pretty much similar to every Leeds fans 11. How many votes did you get in this? Because I know there was quite a lot, weren't there?
Yeah, I think it was close to 2,500 or something. It was at least over 2,000. So it gave a good picture of the fan base. I think a couple of surprises there, of course. Maybe for many, the biggest surprise, maybe that Bielsa got the manager's seat in front of Don Revie, but. Apart from that, it was maybe not so much a surprise for people, but it's still the old guys, that ruled, the charge really, but also some of the younger players are coming in, or players from previous area. So no, it was interesting. It was interesting. We also tried to do some in-depth analysis, of course, and also portraits of players. So we had a a really good piece on Rafinha in this issue. So that was a good one. And but it's all really, I mean, everybody's just doing this on the side. I mean, we don't have any paid, you know, people working for the supporters club, so it's all voluntary, and it's but it's fun, and of course when Leeds are doing so well, then it's fun. Although it's been a very tough year, really, in terms of not, you know, getting into the stadium and watch Leeds play, and that is also quite amazing, because it's really a lot of Scandinavians going over to see Leeds, and we've been doing that for ever since, you know, actually the first guys traveled over in the 70s, but we have been following the team for, you know, all the decades, and myself also, I traveled over and watched them play in League One, and on a cold Tuesday, you know, evening at Ellen Road with 16,000. So it's a very strong loyalty from many of the fans over here, and you know, some of them got season tickets. Some of them go to every home game.
Christ.
Travel over.
That's some commitment, isn't it?
Yeah,
I live 150 miles away, and I haven't got an excuse.
Yeah.
No, it's been amazing to see, really, the loyalty from some guys. I mean, they go over to every home game, and some of them maybe every other home game, and some away games, and it's a long way to travel, and of course you spend a lot of time traveling, but those magic hours in the city of Leeds, you can just live on that for, you know, until the next game. So it's really a good feeling, and a lot of the supporters from over here, they have been good friends with English supporters, and they meet up with groups before the games, and go to pubs, and so it's really a big part of the social life for many fans over here, and that's something right now that is not there. So it's kind of difficult. You cannot gather in pubs either over here. So we do some, you know, some Zoom meetings, and we have had some small groups gathering, because we could do that, but not like the big groups. So for normally for every televised game, we have, you know, groups all over Norway, and they go to their local pub and watch the game together as fans, and that is also a good, you know, good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also we try to we have arranged trips to Leeds. We have done that from quite early in the history of the supporters club. We arrange trips where we do all the booking with hotels and planes and tickets and everything, and arrange lunch at Ellen Road and meet some ex-players, and that is a good way for people that haven't been traveling before to get over to Leeds for the first time and be guided around a little bit, and then it's easier for them to go over the next time by themselves.
Yeah.
So it's so we try to spread the word. We try to help people to get over to watch the mighty Leeds, and yeah, that's the way we can support from here. And of course we do our own magazine. We have our own podcast where we talk about Leeds. We of course have website and social media, and we do some merchandise. We actually have done 3 beers over here in Norway. first we asked Eddie Gray and Peter Lorimer if we could do a beer in their names, and we got acceptance of that. So we made Lorimers Lash. And,
great name, by the way.
Yeah, and Pale Lady Gray. Pale Lady Gray. Yeah. So luckily we actually got to deliver a couple of bottles and a printed label, framed printed label to Eddie and Peter in February last year. So we managed to do that before everything got closed down, and Eddie and Peter were really thrilled. Peter was, really thrilled about this. He just wanted us to take more beers the next time we came over. But yeah, and now just a month ago we launched a Bielsa beer called Exactly What We Need.
Again, a great name. Great name.
Yeah, and we made some coasters, in the same design as the label on the beer, and I think we sold like 25,000 bottles or something up till now. So that's quite good. So hopefully we can arrange some kind of export into Leeds, if there is any pub or any importer that could take it into Leeds, then we can arrange that.
So if anybody's listening and they think they can take on loads of LUSCOS beers, either your Lorimers Lash, your Pale Eddie Gray, or Exactly What We Need, the Bielsa beer, get in touch, because they've got bottles of the stuff ready to be imported, and I'd like to taste it, to be fair. So yeah, get involved. That's all brilliant. Does the quick question I've got for you, Anders? Does the supporters club, all the money that you make just gets reinvested and makes the supporters club bigger and better, and the Peacock news that a little bit more pretty to look at? Is everything reinvested back into the supporters club? Then is that how it works?
Yeah, it's a non-profit organization. So we have a members fee, annual members fee, and it goes to produce the magazine and all the other stuff we do, and we also do some small merchandise. We have some giveaways. We send out with our magazine sometimes, and yeah, it's all going back to the supporters, really. We've also had a couple of events at Ellen Road, a Christmas event, and we also had that was great. A couple of years back, we had a event called a Scottish event, and we had Eddie getting all his Scottish friends, ex-players coming in.
Right.
So we had Gordon McQueen, and we had, of course, Joe Jordan, and then we had an Irish guy as well. So Johnny Giles came.
Brilliant.
So that was really good. Having all the Scottish, people at this, at the same event, and we had dinner and signing event, and of course a Q&A, and people got signatures and pictures with their heroes, and that was really good.
Brilliant.
Great stuff. And in terms of you, Anders, what's been your proudest moment as part of this? Because obviously the supporters group started when you were probably you didn't start the supporters club, did you? You've just sort of moved up and been involved and more as time's gone on, I assume.
Yeah.
What's your proudest moment then as being part of the supporters club? Is there anything that sticks out individually?
That was a tough question, I think. But of course, it makes you proud to see so many people want to be a part of what you're doing, and also to see the interest from the media and from others, and see and also what we can achieve. I mean, just to bring, you know, those beers out. I mean, it's not something that just, you know, something happening automatically. You have to do something. You know, you have to arrange. You have to get in touch with the brewery. You have to
tasting.
Yeah.
The difficult part, isn't it?
Difficult to taste, yeah. But I think it makes me proud to see that we are actually, you know, that we actually are doing a lot of those things that we plan to do, and we can actually go through with it. We also had a, you know, before this season, we toyed with the idea to make our magazine a little bit differently. It was a smaller size before, and we just decided to blow it up to a A4 format and change a little bit of the layout and everything, and we managed to do it, and it turned out really good. So I think to achieve all the, you know, things we plan, that is really a good thing, and of course it makes you proud to see Leeds back in, you know, the top division as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah.
And also, of course, to hear, you know, all the commentators and all the pundits raving about how Leeds play, and it makes you proud. It makes you proud.
It does. It's a nice position to be in, and it's as I say, it's comparable with the glory days of Europe and when we got to the semi-finals and whatnot as well for me. Yeah, it's great stuff. So in terms, I mean, you mentioned earlier, just want to touch upon the relationship obviously you've got with not only the English and British fans, but also with the greats of the game as well. You say you've obviously relatively close relationship with Eddie Gray and obviously until the unfortunate events at the weekend with Peter Lorimer as well. I mean, I've been to Ellen Road. Actually, it might have been you actually, Anders, but I met two Norwegian fans at Histon, I think it was, and it was a freezing cold day, and it was like a Sunday afternoon in Cambridgeshire, and we were playing Histon, who were a non-league side, and I got chatting to two or three blokes, and they'd come all the way over for that game, you know, and I suppose the question I've got is, could I see myself doing that the opposite way around if I love the club that much? Do you know, would I get a plane and taxis and drive and everything for a football club that I love? And I probably would, you know, but I still couldn't get my head around it at that time. We're talking sort of 10 years ago or so now, 11 years ago. But at the age of whatever I was then, 23, I could not get my head around that 3 Norwegian guys had got a plane over to watch Leeds United lose away at Histon. Albeit we didn't plan to lose, but yeah, I mean, what is that a big part of your role within the supporters club, to continue those relationships with the legends of the club and ex-players, but also with the current fan base and you know, liaise with the current fans?
Yes, and of course, I mean, we run the supporters club because we are fans, and we wanna spread the good word, and we will like to help people getting over there to watch Leeds, and of course, it's important for us to have. In order to do that, it's important for us to have good contact with the club. So we try to keep in touch with you know, the management of the club and the press people and the others, and also of course the players. I mean, the ex-players. We've been very fortunate to have Eddie and Peter. Especially Peter meant a lot to us because you may know that he ran a pub in Leeds, and that was kind of a second home for many of the Scandinavians, especially the Norwegians. you could stay over there, and you got, you know, served breakfast by Peter in the morning, and it was very special for many of us to be there and actually meet one of your you know, big idols from your childhood. It's not something a lot of people experience, so that meant a lot to us, and Peter has helped us a lot during the years with you know, arranging tickets and helping people, and also Eddie. Eddie is kind of you know, the matchmaker. He gets us in touch with all the ex-players and gather those guys, like the Scottish event I told you about. So it's important for us to have good contact with the ex-players, and also we've been very fortunate to be with also Tony Dorigo and Mel Sturland and some of the others from a different era, and it's just amazing to see you know, how their passion for the club is still there, and it's a good feeling for us also to meet some of those guys, and we can have them on our arranged trips when we have a lunch at Ellen Road, and you know, some of the guys will come and tell us a little bit about you know, their career and stuff like that, and that it means a lot to people traveling over for the first time, and you actually get a little bit on the inside. It's not just, you know, like you travel to some of the other, you know, big arenas and like a tourist, and you're just out there and you never get a chance to get it, you know, inside of, you know, or close to the club. And that is maybe something I feel it's very special for us, and all the other supporters clubs in Scandinavia and Norway, they're envy us because they see how close we really are to that club. And although, I mean, there are people in Norway following like Birmingham or smaller clubs, and of course they also get a chance to get close to the club, but this is a much bigger club, and there are many more supporters, so it's really fantastic to see how close we have been able to get to the club, and I really hope that will continue. I know it's getting a little bit more difficult now in the Premier League. It's more difficult with tickets. It's more difficult with a lot of, you know, practical things. But I hope and I believe that closeness that we have to Leeds will continue. And I think that's important for overseas fans to have some kind of connection, because it's. We are not just any tourists traveling to London and go to a football game and play and pay £80 to see a football game and then be a tourist the rest of the weekend. I mean, when we are in Leeds, we are not tourists. We are there as supporters. We meet our friends. We go to the football game, of course, but it's more like a second home to us than just.
There's more to it than the 90 minutes on the pitch, in there. There's the
drinking
beforehand, there's the drinking afterwards, and there's drinking in between.
Exactly, yeah. and to meet friends, and so it's more like a second home than. I never look at Leeds as a tourist destination for me. I mean, it's like a second home. I've probably been. I know that the last couple of years I've been more to Leeds than to Oslo, and Oslo I live 20 minutes outside of Oslo.
Crazy.
But,
So what's next then, Anders? What's next for LUSCOS? What can we expect to see? What have you got? What plans, big plans have you got to get you up to 10,000 members? Have you got you know, when you're next over to Ellen Road, I know it's hard to plan at the moment, and we can't obviously determine, first of all, when people are going to be allowed back in the country for that sort of reason. But yeah, what's in the pipeline for LUSCOS?
Well, actually, right now we're putting a memorial edition of the magazine together for Peter Lorimer. So that we're actually working on it right now.
Great stuff.
And I think we'll just try and plan a little bit ahead for the next season, see how we can manage to have trips, arrange trips, that we can continue with that. Maybe we are close to our kind of goal when it comes to number of members, but we're still hoping for a bigger group, of course. So we're aiming for 10,000 next. But
we're ultra competitive. We've got to get above them other two red scums, haven't we? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a little bit, it's a little high, it's a little bit high step to climb, but because they are actually on like 40 plus, so it's really amazing. So but if Leeds will continue to play like this, and we will gain new fan groups, and the youngsters that's been away for so many years, they will come back, and we will also have small kids running out with Leeds kits, and not necessarily be my son, but some others as well. So but it's so we will try to continue and do our best to help as many as we can to go over to Leeds, and follow supporting the team.
Perfect, great stuff. Shannon, have you got any other little questions for Anders before I do my 5 in 5?
No, I've asked everything that I'd like to ask. I mean, it's just really nice seeing that we've got this great fan base out there. It's really nice to see, and how you come over to Ellen Road and put so much effort in. It's great to see. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's really an international following, because I just feel like everywhere I go, I normally wear something Leeds on me, so
you're not Marcelo Bielsa in disguise, are you?
No. But if you meet somebody at the airport in Germany, or you're in Spain in the summer or something, there's always people saluting you, or Leeds or something like that. So it's really nice, and also, I mean, in Norway as well, we obviously do some skiing over here in the winter time, some cross country, and I always try to wear a Leeds hat or something, and then you meet somebody and they just say, "Oh, you're following Leeds? Oh, hello, yeah, watching on
everywhere
together."
You go. Anywhere in the world you can meet a Leeds fan. He's berserk in it. You could be in a taxi in the middle of Koh Phangan in Thailand, and the driver's probably been to a Leeds game before, or something daft like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so many friends and so many nice people you meet. I mean, it's like you met somebody for 5 minutes, and they're a Leeds fan, and they're inviting you home. I mean, it's like next time you come here, just call me and stay over. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Great stuff. Thanks ever so much for that, Anders. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. What I like to do before we let our guests go off, I know you're an hour or two in front of us over there, so I know it's starting to get a little bit late, but I just want to ask you 5 quick questions related to Leeds, and I just want your first answer that comes to your head. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So your favourite all-time player?
That's Peter Lorimer.
Yeah. Your favourite all-time manager?
Don Revie.
Great stuff. Where will Leeds finish in the Premier League next season?
Number 6.
I'll take that. I would take that. Who's your favourite current player?
That's actually well. I have to say Rafinha right now.
Okay, great stuff. And then the last one. Now this might separate something, but I don't want you to fall out with anybody. Norway to win the World Cup or Leeds to win the FA Cup?
Well, yeah. Well, it's probably both. You get high odds on both of them, I think. So I'll go with Leeds for the FA Cup.
Great stuff. Perfect. Anything else you would like to add? Thanks ever so much for your honesty, Anders. Anything else you'd like to add before you head off and go do some cross-country skiing?
Well, it's like you said, it's an hour ahead of you, so it's a little bit dark to go out and cross country. But and actually, we've got spring now. It's I mean, the snow has been melting for the last couple of weeks, so I will look forward to going up to the football ground. I have a football ground just like 300 meters from here, and I go with my son, who's 10 years old, and we put on our Leeds shirts and we'll do some footballing.
Bit of a kickabout. Perfect. Well, pleasure to meet you, Anders. Thank you ever so much. And as you said earlier, if you ever are over, give us a shout. I'm sure we'll meet up for a beer and a bit of a sing song and whatever else. But thanks ever so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope to be able to go over as soon as possible. Obviously, this season could be difficult, but hopefully in August when the next season starts.
Stay in touch. Thanks, Anders.
Thank
Get us
you.
a Leeds salute from
Thank
you before you go.
Leeds salute. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. This episode of Orta Know Better is dedicated to good friend of the Leeds United Supporters Club of Scandinavia, Peter Lorimer. Special thanks to Chairman of LUSCOS, Anders Palm. Today's episode was hosted by OKB regulars Luke and Shannon. Thanks as ever to @Emily Render for her artwork and graphics, and to Jem Jamming Sax for the use of her music. Brought to you by Orta Know Better, marching on together.